It's time for Tastemaker Talk, the podcast for food creators who want to level up their business and make an impact in the creator economy. I'm Abby Rodriguez.
And I'm Chandace Probst. We are your hosts and fellow food content creators here to dive deep into the trends, tools, and topics shaping the industry around us. There's so much to uncover, so let's talk about it. Tastemaker Talk. We are so excited to dive in the episode today, but before we do, we have a quick word from our 2027 Platinum sponsor, Mediavine. Smarter monetization starts with Mediavine. Their platform helps publishers grow revenue through cleaner ad experiences, stronger performance, and technology built for strong-term growth. Trusted by more than 18,000 publishers, Mediavine is helping shape the future of digital publishing. Jen, we are so excited to welcome you today. I'm going to share a little bit more about you, if you don't mind. I'm going to kind of do it in that true Jason Kelsey New Heights podcast fashion. I really want to channel that, moving forward. So Jen Holt comes to us today. She helps food bloggers turn readers into revenue through strategic website design, SEO, and optimization. Through her signature foodie framework that she combines with strategic design, SEO, site structure, and optimization to create custom websites built for growth. Her mission is simple: help food bloggers turn readers into revenue while giving them the confidence to manage their websites with ease. Welcome, Jen.
Thank you for having me. And I feel so professional.
Perfect. I mean, I definitely need to do more of that. Like, I don't think he breathes. He does it like one long without breathing.
How?
But,
oh gosh, that's a mouthful.
A bit more profesh here.
I feel like I'm on a game show. Like, I get to spin the wheel or do something.
Who's ready to meet Jen?
That's it.
Well, we are so excited to have you here. I know that you have a lot of incredible things to talk to us about. So let's just get started. I think a big thing that people ask, and it is something that you are the expert on. So what makes a food blog ad friendly? Obviously, we're here, food blogs need to make money. It's something they need to do. They're putting a lot of thousands of hours and countless time into it. So when you audit a food blog, what are some of the first things you look for to determine whether it's set up to earn well from ads?
Okay, great question. I can't wait to dive in. So for me personally, one of the very first things that I do is I always hit the homepage and I immediately go to the navigation, because this tells me so much about the site. What we don't realize as we're building out our own blogs, right? We know what's going through our mind, how we process all the information, how we think everybody else is going to process the information. But when somebody with a fresh set of eyes goes to our site, all of a sudden it's like, wait, maybe my site isn't as clear as I thought it was when I initially created it. And so something that I do is I immediately start in navigation and try to see what the categories tell me right out of the gate with zero context. That's honestly how I appreciate doing it, is with no context whatsoever. So I'm coming in just like a brand new reader who knows nothing about a site.
Okay, I love it. Coming at it from a user perspective first.
Yes.
That's great. Yes. Because again, we are here, like the creators need to make money. But if the users don't want to stay on the site, you're never going to make money.
Exactly. And if they can't get from point A to point B, they're not going to stay. And we know engagement is crucial. It's always been crucial, but now with the whole SEO, AEO, GEO, I always say EIEIO. That's what it feels like right now.
I love that. Oh my God.
It's so accurate.
That is perfect. We're going to remember that forever from Jen Holt, the SEO, GEO, EIEIO. That's perfect.
But that's what it feels like. It feels like you just get your brain wrapped around one thing, and then they add 12 more things.
Absolutely.
So I love when I go to a site and I look at the navigation and I'm already making some mental notes. Okay, do I feel like I can get where I need to go? All of that stuff. But then do I immediately know whether the site is for me or not? So again, as the user mindset, I'm going to a site and I'm going, do I immediately feel like, yes, this is where I'm supposed to be, or it's not where I'm supposed to be? And I know it feels weird to say that, but the thing is, certain people are going to be at home, raving fans, love us, and our website is their go-to. And other people, it's not. And that's okay. That's not a bad thing. And so knowing that the people that are coming are the people that want to be there increases engagement, increases page views, just increases all the things that we want.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to ask you kind of a a future thinking question where we have so much of the younger generation that are using social media as search tools. Do you think that the way our websites look and have looked for a long time is going to have to change to adapt to their very, I don't want to say short attention span, but short attention span? And do you see that coming?
I do personally, because I'm thinking always, okay, put it this way. SEO, the EIEIOs, like we talked about a minute ago, all those things constantly changing, constantly updating. The thing that I always tell my clients is let's think user first, because that's not going to change. If I'm on your website and you're meeting the need, the question, you're answering the questions that I don't even know to ask maybe, but you are constantly giving me the answers and also giving me more in-depth information. Or, oh, you know what? That actually makes sense. Now let me click over here. If you're giving me that at all times, I'm going to come back. And the whole point of creating stuff for SEO, all the EIEIOs, is to get people to the site and to get them coming back. So we want websites, we want our design layouts, all of it to be such that people want to stay, they want to engage. And if we're thinking, like you were saying, forward thinking, people that are in a different generation, how are they going to consume content? So if we keep that in the forefront of our mind, who our users are, who our readers are, and what they want, you can't go wrong.
Absolutely. And do you know what's interesting is that it is a balance with this new generation of short attention span for certain things, but then the long form content they're loving. That's why
Yes.
Substack has been working so well for some of these younger creators, is because they just write and write and write. So I think it actually is very exciting for some of us dinosaur bloggers to
Yes.
to be able to go back to the time when we did write a full essay and we talked about it, and because that is absolutely what I'm seeing on Substack. I'm also seeing that on YouTube where they show the reel and then they're like, for the longer form content, head to my YouTube. And it's an hour long dinner party
Yes.
situation. It's an hour long making the recipe from scratch, and people are loving it.
I agree. I agree. And I think that goes back to user intent. I know that's something that we're hearing a lot about. And the fact is, we've got two different people that are going to come to our food blogs at any point in time. We've got the person that is like, I need to get dinner on the table in 5 minutes and I need the recipe immediately. Jump to recipe, give me what I need. Then you've got the person that's either in learning mode or research mode. So they're the person that's either meal prepping, and so they're kind of planning things out ahead of time, or they are wanting to learn a new skill, or perhaps like with, I think sourdough, because that's kind of always the conversation because it's a much longer process oriented style of cooking.
Right. And you
so
don't want
you've
to jump
got
to the recipe for that because you're like, I could jump to the recipe and have no idea what to do still.
Exactly. You're like, what does this word even mean? Can somebody define this for me? Because I'm already lost and I'm in step 1. That's me. I'm like, what am I reading currently? And I think that's understanding user intent helps us as bloggers, but then helps me help my clients to realize that we need groupings of content that are not just recipes. People are saying, tell me more about when I, make this ganache and it breaks, or I don't know the correct terminology, but it's like when I do this thing and something happens, I need to know how to fix said thing, or I want to make a substitution. How do I do that? If you're answering those questions, now you've got two different groups of people coming to your site, not just for a recipe, but saying, okay, now that I've run into this problem, how do I fix it?
Right. So you're now giving them the final piece of the puzzle, the recipe, but you're also giving them the hard skills, the things they want to learn. And your site becomes that. And I'm seeing that across the board with successful creators. And then we're seeing their readers go, shh, my favorite show is on,
Yes.
because this is what they're turning to now. And it's pretty incredible. So with that being said, how can creators balance a beautiful, easy to navigate website with the technical layout that maximize ad revenue? Because we want them to come, we want them to stay, but we want it to be beautiful, but also maximize revenue.
Exactly. And that's honestly, that's the real question, isn't it? That's the $1 million question.
That is the $1 million question.
It? And if it were only so easy as to say, it's just this thing, steps 1 through 5, right? If it were just that simple. But really, what it boils down to is a couple of things. The first thing is you have to make certain decisions for your blog that may not make sense for other people's blogs. So, what you need to decide personally is, am I willing to give up site speed for this beautiful aspect? If you are, that's fine. That's not right or wrong. It's just you have to make that decision. You have to understand.
So I do want to ask you, isn't that like site speed is like rule number one to keep them there though, right?
Yes, that's where it gets so tricky, because if we're talking about, milliseconds and even faster than that, I'm not great on all the smaller than milliseconds, but
Yeah.
every little item is so many milliseconds. So what you have to determine is this scrolling design or this, I don't know, bouncing button worth that many milliseconds that it may take for my site to actually load? And is it going to create a layout shift? And when I say layout shift, I've heard it called cumulative shift, layout shift. When you're halfway through something and all of a sudden everything moves and you're like, what just happened? And it's because stuff's loading in so slowly.
Yes.
And the fact of the matter is, when we have ads, we know that's kind of part and parcel. We know that ads slow down sites. It's just, let's call it the elephant in the room. We know that. That's okay. Not a bad thing. Just means we have to think about what other things can we do that might mean, oh, you know what? If I actually just make this a plain background instead of trying to add in a layered image, that's going to give me 2 milliseconds. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it can be the difference in somebody staying or bouncing.
Absolutely. I would say one of my most irritating experiences on a website is when I'm scrolling and that stupid ad that keeps scrolling with you. And I'm like, no, move. I'm trying to get to where I don't mind seeing your ad. I'm a creator myself. I'm happy to look at your ad and scroll. But if it's the one that keeps moving with it, then I'm mad.
Yes. Because the thing is, understanding with ad networks like Mediavine and some of the others that are they're wonderful to work with. And the thing is, as a food blogger that uses a specific ad company, you need to be in contact with them very often. So if you notice something, or if, again, we know that most of the traffic on food blogs is coming from mobile devices. So there are things they may need to increase the ad density or decrease the ad density on certain pages. There may need to be, for example, I create, in a lot of the websites that I do, we create a recipe index that has a modal pop-up. It's just one of the little pop-ups with a menu where you can filter. Well, the problem with that is, if you have ads that pop up, like a video pop-up on the bottom, if that covers over the button for someone to be able to apply the filters, that's a terrible user experience. So what we do is we talk with the ad company and we say, okay, make sure the ads are showing up just behind this pop-up modal, so you're not losing out on the ads. But we problem solve to figure out, how can we make the ad density still really good, but not interfere with user experience?
Which I really like, because I don't think a lot of creators know that you could actually layer. And
Yes.
so if they have the right person, like for example, yourself, speaking the terminology to your ad network to be like, I need this layered behind this one.
Exactly.
The ad can still be there, but this pops up first.
Yes.
How incredible, because I think a lot of times we just think, well, it's the ad placement in the right-hand corner, bottom corner, whatever it is.
Exactly.
So, good to know. And another reminder too, I think it's very important to remind creators that your ad network works for you.
Yes. Thank you. You're exactly right.
So, and they are lovely, and they should always be grateful for your business. And so if you want to layer, then you should layer,
Exactly.
And
Yes.
so I love that. I love the advocating that you're talking about for doing what's best for your readers and your site. And speaking to your ad network regularly. I also love the idea of auditing your site regularly on mobile and desktop. And I would even venture to say weekly, be logging in,
I agree.
checking everything from a different window to be the user truly.
Yes.
Search stuff. I found that for myself. I was searching something and I was like, I know that recipe is there. I know it's there, but the reader doesn't. And when I typed in this, it should have been popped up right away. And I had to type the entire title for it to come up. And I was like, what is happening? This is not okay. And so things like that, if you're constantly auditing your website, you're going to get that information before someone has to reach out to you. So I think that's great.
Yes.
So beyond getting more page views, what should food
Mhm.
bloggers be thinking about when it comes to keeping readers engaged on their site? I mean, it's just a question that I think every creator has right now.
Yes. Okay. So obviously, more page views is great, but every page view is not equal. So it's kind of like just because someone bounces onto a page for 2.5 seconds, that is not equal to somebody that just read your entire blog post. They watched your entire video and then they went all the way to the bottom. Now they're reading about this thing. Those are two very different experiences in the eyes of your ad network. So it's really helpful to understand that page view doesn't always equal page view, and RPM doesn't always equal RPM. So there's a lot of really nuanced parts to this thing that help us make really good decisions. And one of the biggest hills that I will die on is we have to have super clear categories that are intuitive and that are hierarchical. I'm not sure if that word actually
I love
exists,
it.
but I'm going to
Perfect.
claim it as though it
Great.
does.
Great.
Because most food bloggers that I've worked with, especially those that have well over 1,000 recipes on their site, everybody started the same. They were like, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I made a category for everything, or I made 3 categories and that was it, and I have 1,000 recipes in 3 categories. So you've got those that put a tag in a category for everything, top to bottom. And then you've got the people that have 3 general categories and literally everything's in the same category. So nothing feels curated at all. Everything just feels the exact same.
Yes, agreed.
So really audit your categories and think, does this chocolate chip cookie recipe need to be in every single holiday? Does it need to be in every single, you know what I'm saying? That's the
It's funny because I think people think that it needs to be there because they're afraid someone's going to miss it, but actually they're going to find it if it's in the right
yes,
place. And then it's not
exactly.
oversaturating and pushing down other things that actually would be higher up in that category.
Yes, because that's one of the things that I talked about on my podcast was, during the holidays, we want to feature our best super specific content because that turkey recipe or that pie recipe is going to get maybe $80 RPMs during Thanksgiving as opposed to the, normal 25 evergreen that it might get any other time of the year. So if somebody's going to your Thanksgiving category, you don't want them seeing your generic chocolate chip cookie recipe. You want them going to all the pies, all the sides, all the turkey, all the things that are hyper specific to that holiday.
I love that. And all your sides shouldn't be in there. It should be the bread and butter sides for Thanksgiving, truly.
There you go. There
I
you
love
go.
it. I
Yep.
love it. So I know another thing people talk about a lot with this is strategic internal linking. And that's something
Yes, that
that
was,
I
yes.
originally talked about. And so I'd love for you to address that and how that equals more ad income, not necessarily more page views, but more ad income.
Okay. So when we say strategic internal linking, yes, it's great to have, you might also like, nothing wrong with that. If, and I do want to preface it with this, if it's not just a normal plain old plugin that's just pulling in random content, that's actually less helpful than not having it at all, because what you're doing is distracting the reader from what you want them to do. We don't want to distract people because distracted people don't make decisions,
Yeah.
period. They just
Right.
don't. And so if you're writing, let's stay with Thanksgiving. I don't know. It feels like that's a good category to talk about. So let's say you've got this delicious Thanksgiving pie recipe, okay? And pumpkin pie recipe. And you can do in a couple of different places, you can have content blocks that say other pie recipes for your Thanksgiving dinner. Or maybe it's Thanksgiving sides that will be delicious with this pie or whatever you want it to be called. But within the content itself, it's really good to have textual links. So when you say this pumpkin pie would be delicious with this rotisserie chicken, whatever, and you link to the rotisserie chicken recipe right there in the recipe itself. I think that is one of the ways that most people actually miss doing internal linking, because all you're thinking about is pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie, it's all about the pumpkin pie. But maybe you have a recipe that is for homemade ice cream to go with the pumpkin pie, or homemade whipped cream to go with the pumpkin pie, or the crust to go with the pumpkin pie, or an article, a how-to article that's how to make sure your pumpkin pie is the right texture every time. There's like 5 I just made up on the spot that would make total sense in context during the recipe conversation, that are internal links. And then you've got additional links in the bottom or wherever you decide to put it that says other delicious pie recipes you might want to try. And again, there's so many ways you can do it. But my suggestion, going to be counterintuitive to many people, get rid of the related posts like carousel that's at the bottom of your articles that just pulls in with your theme. Because 99.9% of the time, unless you have a completely custom ground up built kind of website, it's not pulling in anything related to anything. It'll pull in the most random stuff. You're like, why is it pulling in my about page? Like it's random.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. And I think it's another good thing. I like to, as we're going to make a list for people that they could be working on, like a, hard list from our conversation. And so we talked about auditing weekly, speaking with your ad network to customize what you need. I also think it's really important, like you just said, if you have 5 top posts that are performing so well, create those secondary posts that you can then internally link within those that will keep them longer on that high RPM page and high visited page. If you're so let's say your paleo pumpkin pie is one of your top performers and you make a killing on your RPM, but you don't have anything in there about coconut whipped cream. Pop it in there. That's a post. So I think constantly auditing your site again for your highest performing, highest RPM posts and doing supplemental content for those. Would you say that's really
definitely true? And something that we're seeing now, and again, this can change tomorrow, but something that we're seeing in the whole SEO, GEO, AEO world right now is that newer content takes longer to perform than it has in the past. So what you do, that new content, you link to those high performing articles and you link them to that new article. And all of a sudden that new article gets a big bump because there's already people visiting this one. Now all of a sudden they're like, oh, what's this new thing? Always, you're going back all the time. This is the visualization I use. Your website should be like a spider web. Everything should touch and connect to something else. So if you're thinking about everybody's over here, well, what can we do to get them over here to this new great recipe or this new great piece of content? And those supplemental pieces of content are going to be the ones that people bookmark and are going to come back to year after year when they're trying to remember. I know I had that really good article that I read about when I should use brown butter versus regular butter, or when what I could switch out for my gluten-free diet, especially for people that talk about different dietary needs and substitutions, because I guarantee you come Thanksgiving, when I want to make everything gluten-free, I'm going to go to that post and I'm going to read it like crazy to find what I can do to tweak all my recipes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I love that. And I think that's really smart because people will remember that it was helpful for them. Helpful content is always good content. That's something to always be aware of. So last question I want to ask you here before we do some rapid fire.
Okay.
What are some common mistakes that keep food bloggers from fully monetizing their sites, and what shifts can help them build a blog that supports sustainable income over time?
Wow, that's a good one. Okay. So I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make is thinking that because something has worked in the past, it's always going to keep working. While that would be great.
That's not true, haven't we?
Exactly. While that would be great and super wonderful, because then we would all be masters and this would be great. The online space is just constantly evolving and changing, and we have to be willing to continue learning. If we're not lifelong learners in really any aspects of our lives, if we're not lifelong learners, we're not going to be able to be flexible enough to grow. We're going to be the stumbling block or the roadblock to our own business. So what we need to do, we need to be flexible and we need to be willing to pivot sometimes when you realize, maybe I need to add this whole component to my site. People have been asking me about main dishes and I've never really gone there, but maybe I do because people keep asking me. Let your readers, let the people who are consuming your content kind of help you make decisions. If you're at a roadblock or you're at a fork in the road and you're really not sure which way to go, just listen. You'll be amazed at what you can learn just by listening. And then also, again, being willing to pivot, being willing to learn, but then also being willing to invest. And I know that's really hard because, again, same with it's scary, right? You're going, oh my goodness, I don't know if I invest, am I going to get my money back? Is it worth it? The hard thing to admit is what got you here won't get you there. And
Such a great quote. Can you say that one more time for everybody?
what got you here won't get you there.
Love
and I
it.
think it's important for all of us at any point in time as we're doing these audits to say, okay, what has served me well? What can I be thankful for that got me here, good, bad, or ugly? It got me where I am. What can I learn from it? And then what am I going to need and be able to take into this next 12 weeks, this next year, these 5 years, whatever it might be. And then make those decisions based on what you're doing presently and the future that you see for your business. So always working in the present, but thinking about the future.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think that's a really, really great way. It's going to truly be the only way that creators survive moving forward. We have to be willing to adapt and realize that what got us here isn't going to get us there. And so what are we changing? What are we doing? And I think constantly having a solid relationship with your readers and asking them, polling them, using your email to talk to them regularly. One of my favorite things is when I get a reply from an email and I get to reply back and they're like, oh my gosh, you're actually human. You're here. And I'm like, of course I am. That's why you're here. And I think continuing to ask questions, asking and be willing to make mistakes. Yesterday, I just shared on my social that I wanted to do something and I spelled 2 words wrong. And I was like, wow, that was rough. But
that was very humbling. Yes.
Yeah, I followed it up today to be like, you know, what you really want is me to spell it right so that you know that I understand what I'm talking about. But I think seeing that you're human also helps. Do you know what I mean? They want to see the behind the scenes. They want to see, I mean, we've seen this movement with the perfectionism of creators. That people don't want that anymore. They want to hear the hard. They want to hear the fails. Like, oh, you recipe tested 3 things this week and none of them worked. That's actually really interesting to hear because then I know when you put out the recipe that you have worked hard on it. You know
exactly. And I know that you know what I'm going through, so I can ask you a question and you're not going to think I'm stupid. Because I think sometimes readers think that too. They're afraid to ask because they're like, you're a professional and you're going to think I'm stupid if I ask this question. And it's like, no, I literally failed 15 times. And also, if you had told me that, that would have helped me tremendously at that point in time.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that today. I think we have a solid list for our listeners to know what they can go do on their website to feel like, especially, I can't even believe I'm saying this. My gosh, I cannot believe we're moving closer and closer to Q4. But as we get closer and closer to Q4, like make sure you've done all these things so that your highest ad earning time, most creators, not all, our healthy food creators will see that in Q1. But most, make sure your site is solid so that you can earn the best, but you can also have a great reader experience for all of those new people visiting during the holidays. I don't know about most of our listeners, but you get that uptick and you want them to stick around, you know?
Absolutely.
So before we say goodbye, we're going to do 2 quick rapid fires. What is your late night go-to snack?
Tortilla chips, specifically the bag that's like this big from Sam's, on the border, and mango salsa. Premium. I'm telling you, premium.
Love it. I love it. Mango salsa is superior. It's delicious.
It really is. And I'm telling you, it has to be that exact combination. I've tried them all. Just saying, tried them all.
That's the one.
Okay, that may be a bit of an exaggeration. I've probably not tried them all. I've probably tried like 3, but still, this is still the superior one of 3.
I love it. I love it. What, if you could have any brand's website to yourself for a month, which one would you choose to redesign?
Wow.
Or create, I mean, I would say creator or a brand, but I don't know if you want to venture into that. So brands will be less offended.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know because I think it would have to be something in the food blog space because I've designed sites for all sorts of, creators, whether that's education, service providers, or whatever. But there is something so cool about food blogs. I love that organizational aspect of it with the categories and then making them, I have to say, just for all you food bloggers out there, you all are killing it with the images. Oh my goodness, your photography skills are next level. So it would have to be, gosh, I can't even think. It would have to be a website that has such gorgeous photography. Oh my goodness. I'm the worst because now I can't answer that question.
But you're like, I want to match the experience to the photography. And maybe
I do.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Right. Okay. All right. I will keep thinking. So
yeah. What about Martha, Ina, all of those? Would you love to?
Now, okay. All right. You know what? If we're going to go big, I'll just redo the Whole Food Network's website.
Yay! See,
if we're going big, let's just go all the way.
Yes.
I mean, if we're going big, we go big.
Okay. I love it. Food Network. Jen is ready to update your website.
I'm here. Anytime. Give me a call.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, Jen. We hope that all of you will connect with Jen on social and her website. Where can everyone find you if they want to get in touch?
You can find me at Jennifer Holt Designs. And then I also have a podcast, The Food Bloggers Table. So you can find me on all the podcasting places. And then on Instagram, you can DM me over there at Jennifer Holt Designs. So just remember Jennifer Holt Designs and you'll probably have all the places.
I love it. Well, we appreciate this conversation today. We're going to continue to have more wonderful conversations like this with hard skills. We have 75-minute workshops, all kinds of amazing skills and discussions at Tastemaker Conference 2027. It's our 10th anniversary in Texas in January. So if you haven't got your ticket yet, we'd encourage you to grab that so you can be there with all your fellow creators. We know this can be an isolating job, and so being in person with them once a year is pretty incredible. We try to create magic at Tastemaker, and we hope to see all of you there. Thanks again, Jen. We appreciate you. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Tastemaker Talk. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know by leaving a review, giving us a rating, or sharing it with your creator friends.
And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
You can find more from us on our website, tastemakerconference.com, or even join us for an event where we learn and grow as a community of creatives.
The conversation doesn't stop here. Talk soon.